In the deep silence of space, far from any star or planet, a small galactic listening post floated in the dark. It had been silent for years. Nothing moved, nothing changed. It was placed there by the Council many centuries ago, to keep an eye on young species and any unexpected signals from the outer rim. Inside the quiet post, only one being was awake: technician Velinor, a thin alien with soft blue skin and long fingers. He yawned, bored like always. His job was simple: watch the screens, report anything unusual. But for 100 years, nothing ever came. Just empty signals, dust, and silence. Until now. A sudden beep echoed inside the small room. Velinor froze. He looked at the screen. A signal had appeared. At first, he thought it was a glitch, but it wasn't. The coordinates blinked in bright yellow. Sector 9 Tau, origin Earth. He frowned. That can't be right, he whispered. He tapped on the screen. The computer confirmed it. The signal had moved faster than light. Much faster. Velinor's heart began to race. No known species had ever broken the light speed limit without using wormholes or Council-approved tech. Earth wasn't even part of the Council. They were still considered new, barely advanced. He opened the signal file. The message was short, just numbers, coordinates, a log. But the speed, it was beyond anything ever recorded. Velinor pressed the emergency alert. Far away, deep in the Council's central archive, a red warning light blinked. The automated system scanned the alert and sent a coded message to the High Council. Within moments, the Council knew humanity had done something impossible. On a giant planet covered with shining towers, the Council gathered in a private chamber. 12 ancient beings, each from a different world, sat in silence. Their eyes all turned toward the center, where a projection of Earth's signal floated in the air. One of them, Elder Zorith, leaned forward. "Explain this," he said quietly. A short figure stepped forward. It was a science advisor. The signal came from Earth. Their ship jumped from Mars to Jupiter in less than a second. No wormhole, no tunnel. They just disappeared and appeared. "That's not possible," another council member said. "It is now," replied the advisor. There was a long silence. Elder Cerise, known for her wisdom and calm, spoke next. "Has any other species achieved rod jump FTL before?" "Only in theory. It always leads to collapse or madness." Someone answered. Cerise shook her head slowly. "Then why are they still alive?" No one had an answer. Back on Earth, a small team of human scientists celebrated in a quiet lab under the moon's surface. They had no idea that the galaxy had noticed them. To them, the jump was just a test. The lead scientist, Dr. Lena Morris, smiled as she looked at the readings. "We did it," she said. "Faster than light. No explosion, no tears. Just clean travel." One of her assistants laughed. "Do you think anyone even noticed?" She smiled. "Maybe in 100 years. But someone had noticed." The Council moved quickly. They couldn't let Earth continue testing this strange FTL. It was not just about speed. If humanity didn't understand the risks, they could damage the very fabric of space. Or worse, they could change how the universe worked. A small probe was sent, invisible to human eyes. It parked itself in Earth's orbit and began to watch. Every movement, every signal, every test. It recorded everything. Inside the probe, a quiet AI processed data, and what it found made the Council tremble. Humanity hadn't just jumped space. They had bent it smoothly, gently, like folding a cloth instead of tearing it. The probe sent its first report. "Humans are not breaking space. They are reshaping it." The message shocked the Council. No species in known history had ever done that. Some tried, but all failed. And Earth, a young, simple world, had just done it, using parts no one else would even look at. In the chamber, the elders whispered to each other. "Do they know what they've done?" "No. That's what makes it worse. Should we warn them, or stop them?" But one voice said something different. "We should meet them." There was silence. "Humans did not break the law of physics," the voice continued. "They rewrote it without knowing." As the Council argued over what to do next, down on Earth, Dr. Lena looked at the stars. "I wonder," she said quietly, "if someone out there is watching us right now." She had no idea how true that was. And high above, in the darkness, the alien probe blinked once, recording every word. Asterisk. The sky above Earth was clear, with only a few soft clouds drifting across the blue. But high above them, Hidden in the upper layers of the atmosphere, something was watching. A small alien probe hovered silently, completely invisible to human eyes and radar. It had arrived only days ago, sent by the Galactic Council to observe Earth's strange new technology. Inside the probe, a quiet artificial mind processed millions of pieces of data every second. It watched the human satellites move around the planet. It listened to radio waves, internet signals, and even picked up emotional patterns from global broadcasts. But the most important thing it watched was parked quietly in low orbit a sleek silver ship called Pioneer 1. The humans had built it to test their new FTL engine. Their first jump from Mars to Jupiter had already made waves across the galaxy. Now, they were preparing for something even bolder, a jump from Earth orbit to the edge of their solar system. The probe focused its lens on the ship. Something about it didn't make sense. The technology looked simple. It didn't shine like council ships. It didn't have exotic crystals or rare matter. And yet, the energy readings around it were unlike anything ever recorded. Inside Pioneer 1, Dr. Lena Morris stood with a quiet smile. Her dark hair was tied back, and she wore the same lab coat she'd used since college. Around her, a small team of engineers and scientists worked calmly, but the room was filled with quiet excitement. "Final checks complete," said one of the engineers. Lena nodded. "Begin countdown." The ship slowly drifted away from Earth's orbit, aiming itself toward the far edge of the solar system. Lena looked at the window not because she expected to see stars fly by, but because it reminded her this was real. Unknown to them, the Council probe sent an urgent message back to its home system. Second jump, preparing FTL energy building. Pattern does not match any known framework. Recommend full Council review. But it was already too late. The countdown reached 0. From Earth, a tiny flash appeared above the clouds and vanished almost instantly. No sound, no explosion, no fire, just a soft ripple in space. One moment, the ship was there, next, it wasn't. The probe tried to follow the energy trail, but the readings didn't match any normal path. The humans hadn't just moved faster than light, they had taken a shortcut through something that galaxy didn't even have a name for. Out near the edge of the solar system, Pioneer 1 reappeared without a scratch. Inside, the team looked at each other in shock and happiness. "We're here," someone whispered. Lena checked the readings. "Everything is stable." That's 2 successful jumps. Back on Earth, the news hadn't yet reached the public. Only a few officials even knew the test had happened. To the rest of the world, it was just another day. But above them, the alien probe began to shake. Its sensors detected a strange feedback, a ripple, moving back toward Earth. It wasn't dangerous, but it wasn't normal either. It felt like space itself was adjusting, smoothing out after the human jump. The AI inside the probe paused. Then it recorded a new note. Jump stabilized the region. Space-time normalized. Human FTL does not damage space, it repairs it. Far away, in the heart of the Council's secure command network, the probe's report was received. Alarms stayed silent, but everyone in the room stood still as they read the final line. Elder Zorath leaned in closer. "Repairs it." The science advisor nodded slowly. "Yes, their engine doesn't tear through space like ours, it folds it gently, like they're working with space, not against it." "But how?" someone asked. "They don't know," the advisor replied. "And that's the strange part. They didn't plan this. They built it out of curiosity. They call it the butterfly engine." Whispers filled the chamber. Zorath closed his eyes for a moment. "Then they've gone too far by accident, and they don't even know it." Elsewhere, the young ambassador who had spoken during the last meeting stood silently in a tall library. She had read all the old records, the myths about space breaking under the weight of uncontrolled travel, but those stories always ended in collapse, not healing. She turned to her assistant. "Send a message to the Council. Request permission for contact. If we wait any longer, someone else will reach them first." The assistant blinked. "You mean pirates?" "Not just them," she said softly. "There are groups that will want this technology, groups that don't care about peace." Meanwhile, Lena sat alone in her small cabin on Pioneer 1, recording her log. "We've made our second jump. No errors, no strange effects. The universe feels quiet. I don't know why, but it's like space wants us to keep going. Like it's been waiting for someone to find the right key." She looked out at the stars. "I hope we're ready for what's out there, and I hope Whatever's out there is ready for us. Unseen, far above Earth, the alien probe blinked once and quietly powered down. Its job was done. The galaxy now knew, and soon, so would the... A soft blue light filled the grand chamber of the Galactic Council. The tall ceiling sparkled like a night sky, but the usual peace in the room was missing. Something deep and heavy hung in the air, a quiet panic. No one dared speak aloud. Representatives from dozens of species sat around the long curved table, each one watching the center where a hologram slowly spun. It showed Earth's solar system, highlighted with a thin golden thread, tracing to strange jumps. No one said anything for several moments. Then Elder Zorath's voice broke the silence. The second jump was cleaner than the first. Not a single wave of distortion, not even a ripple. Elder Cerise.com, as ever, leaned forward. That shouldn't be possible. The science advisor standing nearby nodded. It isn't. Not with any council technology. They didn't just stabilize space, they improved it. The region around the jump is stronger now than before. A quiet murmur passed through the room. One of the younger council members, a tall being with emerald skin, looked up. What if they've found something new? Not by mistake, but by design. The room grew still again. Zorath shook his head slowly. Their ship is built from recycled metals. Their understanding of gravity fields is incomplete. They still argue over their own laws of physics. They didn't design this. They discovered it by luck. The ambassador from the Virel species, known for their calm thinking, spoke next. It doesn't matter how they found it. They have it. And now, others will want it. A long screen flashed behind them, showing growing activity near Earth's region, not from Earth but from nearby systems. Factions, outlaws, forgotten fleets, all of them had picked up traces of the human jumps. They will come, the ambassador said, not to make peace, but to copy, to steal, or worse, to interrupt the next jump. Elder Cerise looked troubled. If this technology is disrupted, mid-use, the result could stretch space in ways we don't understand. A quiet beep echoed through the chamber. The science advisor checked a new file and frowned. There's something else. Everyone turned toward him. The human ship didn't just jump. It bent a location and returned it to normal, like nothing happened. We found small repairs to space structures left over from past council experiments tried without human knowledge. It's as if the engine is fixing ancient damage. Silently, the council chamber fell into stunned silence. Zorath stood slowly. We created the laws of space travel, but Earth has broken none of them. Instead, they've awakened something even we forgot, something space itself remembers. At that moment, in a quiet corner of the chamber, a door opened and a new voice entered. They must be told. It was the youngest voice in the council, a junior diplomat named Reva. She stepped forward, her small form dwarfed by the room. They have no idea what they've done, she continued. They believe it's just a travel engine, but they are touching the roots of space itself, and the next jump might pull attention from places even the council fears to look. Zorath raised an eyebrow. You suggest we make contact? I suggest, Reva said calmly, we stop watching from the shadows. We visit, we speak, we share, or we risk being too late. A few elders exchanged glances. Not everyone agreed. Some feared open contact would frighten the humans. Others believed Earth wasn't ready. Reva walked to the center of the room and turned to face them all. We have two choices. We can warn them and guide them, or we can wait and watch as others reach them first. The council began to murmur. Again, back on Earth, Pioneer 1 had returned safely and quietly to a research dock hidden on the far side of the moon. The scientists were reviewing data, laughing softly, feeling proud but calm. They didn't know the universe was now turning its eyes on them. Dr. Lena stood in a glass hallway, sipping tea and watching Earth spin slowly below. Her thoughts were quiet. She hadn't felt excited like this in years. Not because of the jump, but because of the mystery. They had done something strange, something good, but something she didn't fully understand. Her assistant joined her. You think the next test will be longer? She nodded. We'll go beyond the solar system this time. Maybe a full light year. I want to see if it still feels smooth. Feels? Lena looked thoughtful. Yes, not just numbers, not just machines. The engine, it feels like it moves gently, like space is listening, like it's opening a door, not breaking it down. Her assistant smiled nervously. Let's just hope no one's On the other side of that door, neither of them knew how close that guess was to the truth, because far above Earth, a council ship had already left orbit. It was no longer just watching, it was on its way to meet humanity. Asterisk, a soft hum filled the inside of the council's ambassadorial vessel as it entered Earth's solar system. It didn't travel like most ships, nor did it make itself known. Instead, it glided through space as if riding on threads of silence. Its design focused more on observing than announcing. Hidden from human view, it moved closer to Earth's orbit, gathering peaceful signals, weather reports, satellite feeds, news broadcasts, and voices filled with music, laughter, and sometimes questions about the stars. Inside the vessel, Ambassador Reva stood by a large viewing panel. She watched Earth quietly, her wide silver eyes full of thoughts. From this distance, the planet looked peaceful, glowing softly in the sunlight, wrapped in white clouds like a sleeping dream. But Reva knew there was something new awakening beneath those clouds. A human mind had stepped into a place even the council had long forgotten. Behind her, a tall assistant named Lorem spoke. "The humans are preparing another jump." Reva nodded. "They'll try going further this time." "We should land," Lorem said. "They deserve to know." She didn't answer right away. Her gaze stayed locked on the blue and green planet. Then she spoke softly. "We are not just here to speak. We are here to listen." At that same time, in a quiet research station orbiting the moon, Dr. Lena walked slowly through the main corridor, holding a small device in her hand. The halls were quiet, her team was asleep or reviewing data, but Lena couldn't sleep. Her mind was busy. She reached the observation room and sat down by the wide window. Earth hung in the sky like a beautiful puzzle she had spent her whole life trying to solve. Her thoughts wandered back to her first science class, where a teacher had told her that light speed was the limit. She smiled faintly. It never made sense, she whispered to herself. If there's a wall, someone will always try to walk through it. Behind her, a screen came to life. An alert. Not from their systems, not from Earth. It was a transmission, but it wasn't coded in any known language. Lena stared at the patterns. The signal was soft, slow, and almost polite. It didn't demand attention. It simply asked for it. She leaned closer. The signal repeated 3 tones. Then a symbol appeared when her system couldn't identify, but something about it felt intentional. She activated the base's quiet alert system. A few of her team arrived, blinking sleep from their eyes. "Is it from one of our satellites?" someone asked. Lena shook her head. "No, this is something else." Hours passed. Earth's space agency detected the same signal. They cross-checked it with all known nations. No match. It became clear. The source was not human. The world didn't panic. Instead, it paused. Leaders gathered in quiet meetings. Scientists leaned over data in silence, and somewhere in a quiet control room, someone whispered, "They're here, above Earth." The council vessel slowly descended, not to the surface, but into a low orbit, just visible to those who knew where to look. For a brief moment, just before sunrise, a glowing crescent shape could be seen near the edge of the atmosphere. It faded quickly, like a dream. In the following hours, another signal arrived. This one included a simple image, a rotating model of the human FTL engine, traced with golden lines. It was not threatening, it was curious. It was a message that said, "We saw this, let's talk." Dr. Lena stood in the center of a small conference room, surrounded by scientists and space officials. No one knew what to do. No one had expected this. She raised her hand slowly. "Let me go," she said. A man across the table frowned. "You're the lead. You can't leave the project now." "I am the project," she replied gently. "If someone's asking about what we've done, I'm the one who should answer." Her voice was calm, but inside, she felt something new, a quiet connection she couldn't explain. Not fear, not pressure, just curiosity. The same feeling that led her to build the engine in the first place. Permission was granted. Hours later, a shuttle rose quietly from the lunar base, carrying Dr. Lena toward the glowing curve in orbit. As it neared, the council ship revealed itself not by force, not by power, but by simple presence. It unfolded like a flower in sunlight, showing a surface that shimmered like still water. A soft voice came through the shuttle speakers. "You may enter." Lena looked out the window, eyes wide. "It's beautiful," she said. She stepped into the unknown, not with fear, but with wonder. Inside the council vessel, Riva waited in a room filled with soft blue light and floating panels. When Lena entered, their eyes met. No words were spoken at first. Because both of them understood something rare had happened, not just contact, but connection. And it all began with a signal that wasn't meant to warn, it was meant to welcome. The room was quiet, filled with a soft humming sound, like air moving through ancient halls. Dr. Lena stood at the center, her eyes slowly adjusting to the calm blue light surrounding her. She wasn't sure what she expected inside an alien ship, but it wasn't this. There were no sharp tools, no walls full of blinking lights, no guards, just smooth surfaces, floating symbols, and a silence that felt like it was listening. Ambassador Riva stepped forward, her movements graceful and calm. She wore no suit of rank, no badge of power, just a simple robe that shimmered like moonlight. She looked at Lena with soft curiosity, not fear, not pride, just interest. "You are not what we expected," Riva said, in clear English. Lena raised an eyebrow, surprised. "You speak my language." "We studied it carefully before arriving." Riva paused. "We wanted to understand, not confuse." Lena nodded slowly. "I appreciate that." For a moment, the two stood there, Earth and galaxy facing each other, not with commands or warnings, but with quiet recognition. Then Riva gestured gently, inviting Lena to walk with her. They moved through a wide hall where images floated in the air, models of stars, flowing timelines, and echoes of space travel history from across the galaxy. Some images looked like ancient machines, others looked like broken places stitched together with golden thread. Riva stopped before one such image. "This," she said, pointing to a wide, dark scar on a star map, "is where we first broke space." Lena stared at it. The area looked twisted, as if the universe had bent and stayed bent. "We tried to travel faster than light," Riva continued. "We forced it, pulled space apart instead of listening to it. The place you see here, nothing grows there now. Not light, not sound, just silence." Lena looked uneasy. "We didn't mean to do something dangerous." "You didn't," Riva said gently. "That's why we're here." Lena turned toward her. "You think we've done something right?" Riva gave the smallest smile. "You did not punch through the wall. You found the door." The two continued walking. Riva waved her hands slowly through the air, and a model of Earth's FTL engine appeared between them. It rotated silently, golden, lines flowing from its center. "We don't understand how it works," Lena admitted. "We built it with pieces from old satellites, gravity sensors, and instinct." Riva's expression didn't change. "Sometimes understanding follows action. Sometimes action leads understanding." They entered another room, smaller, quieter. One wall showed recent human jumps, marked with gentle waves that faded instead of spiking. Riva gestured toward them. "These lines show healing," she said. "Where other ships would have ripped holes, your engine stitched the edges." Lena stared, stunned. "We never even looked for that." "You weren't trying to control space," Riva replied. "You were trying to respect it." A long pause followed. Then Lena spoke softly. "Why tell me this? Why show me all of this?" Riva looked out a nearby window where Earth glowed far below. "Because the galaxy is waking up," she said. "Old powers have heard your signal. Not all of them want peace. Some will try to take what you've found. Others will try to stop you from going further." Lena stood still. "But you," Riva continued, "have something rare, not just invention, but intention." Lena swallowed. "So what now?" Riva's eyes met hers. "We ask that you don't run, that you don't hide this, that you lead, with care, because whatever you build next will shape what comes after, not just for Earth, but for all of us." Lena nodded slowly, her voice quiet but steady. "Then we'll go carefully, but we won't stop." Riva tilted her head. "We never wanted you to stop, only to understand what you've started." They stood in silence, both knowing this was only the beginning. Far below, Earth's surface turned slowly under the sunlight, unaware of the meeting taking place in its sky. People walked streets, worked jobs, held hands, and watched the stars, not knowing that something new had quietly begun. And in the stars above, a human and an alien looked at each other not as enemies, not even as strangers, but as two explorers who had each taken a step toward something bigger than either of their worlds could yet understand. *8 Soft rain was falling on a quiet evening in New Oslo, a floating city near Earth's northern edge. Lights reflected gently off the water below, and most people stayed indoors, unaware that their world was slowly becoming the center of something far bigger than they could imagine. High above them, beyond the clouds and satellites, messages were moving between distant systems, fast, hidden, and filled with quiet urgency. On a distant moon orbiting a red star, a council of a different kind met in a darkened chamber. No bright lights, no peaceful voices, only sharp glances, quiet murmurs, and eyes glowing faintly in the shadows. They were not part of the Galactic Council. They followed no laws. These were the remnants of ancient factions, independent, hidden, and forgotten by most of the galaxy. But they watched everything, and they had also received the signal. One of them, a cloaked figure with a calm voice, leaned forward. The humans have touched something pure. Another spoke, slower, colder. Something valuable. They don't know its power, said a third, which makes them easy to reach. There was a pause, then a decision. Find them, watch them. If they open the door again, we follow. And just like that, the quiet galaxy stirred. Back on Earth, Dr. Lena returned to the surface 2 days after her meeting on the council ship. She carried no alien tools, no grand speeches, just a message. Humanity had to keep walking forward. But now, they would not walk alone. She met with her team in a private conference room beneath the lunar base. The air was still. Everyone listened as Lena explained the truth, not just about their engine, but about the galaxy watching them now. They aren't angry, she said. They're curious and cautious. They've seen what happens when others tried what we just did. But what scares them most is that we succeeded. One of the engineers leaned forward. What do we do? Lena thought for a moment. Then she spoke clearly. We keep going. But now, we test with care. We share what we can. And we prepare for attention, good and bad. She didn't speak in fear. Her voice was steady. Her eyes focused. Later that night, alone in the observation dome, Lena watched the stars above. For the first time, she didn't feel like she was staring into the unknown. Now, it felt like someone was staring back. The next morning, across several systems, council messages were quietly sent to nearby allies. Humanity's third test is approaching. Watch carefully. But those weren't the only eyes watching. In a distant asteroid belt, a hidden observatory lit up. Its owners were not part of any alliance. They didn't believe in sharing knowledge. They believed in power through control. And when their sensors picked up a small FTL ripple from Earth's system, they smiled. They're testing again, one whispered. Prepared the shadow ships. Another said, still, Earth knew none of this. At a peaceful facility on Saturn's largest moon, the Pioneer 2 rested on a quiet platform, larger than the first ship. Its design included gentle field stabilizers, new gravity frames, and soft energy pulses modeled after patterns found during the earlier jumps. Lena and her team had worked day and night to refine the engine, to make it faster, but smoother, safer, kinder to space itself. Before launch, Lena stood on the ramp and looked at her crew. We're not running, she said. We're not racing anyone. We're reaching, that's all. And what we find we'll share. As the ship lifted, the quiet Earth watched. The stars watched. And far away, some ships soon invited began to move too. Inside Pioneer 2, the controls glowed softly. The jump was set. This time, their destination was outside the solar system, a nearby star, never visited by human eyes in person. The countdown began. Lena took a deep breath. Let's see if the door still opens. 3, 2, 1. And just like before, the ship vanished not with force, but with a soft curve in the air, as if the universe itself had made room for it to pass. But behind it, from far across the edge of human space, another shape began to move. Silent, hidden, following